Kings of Dragons ranking 551. Today we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people um, really think that it is somewhat of a good take, and I think most people would agree with me that this is problematic for the main studio of Disney. No, it has nothing to do with that stuff that's happening with Disney. It has everything to do with Marvel and Star Wars. Now, here's the thing. I love Star Wars. And you have a gap right now, a limited time gap in 2023 to 2025. However, it is a small window that gives you an opportunity to watch the Star Wars shows that are out, such as Mandalorian, Andor, Ahsoka, and stuff, where obviously I don't think really you have to watch any of the Star Wars movies or any of the shows to watch the very old movie that's coming out. I think it's about the Old Republic and how there was a Jedi and Sith war between one another. Then the second movie's coming out. It's with Grand Admiral Thrawn and everything, and we know how that's going to play out. It's connected to all the shows and everything, a Return of the Jedi and everything, so forth and so on. And then the one that a lot of people are not happy for is most likely in fact, the 15 years set after Rise of Skywalker into the new line of for Rey Palpatine or Skywalker, whatever. So the problem with that is it's not that bad of a problematic thing right now because there are no movies coming out for Star Wars and stuff. It is more focused on their show oriented stuff. For the most part, I think Star Wars has gone the route where they're actually trying to choose of that quality over quantity type of thing where they're not trying to put out movies and they're failing and stuff. Whereas Marvel's Disney problem is that they're putting out they're putting out too many Marvel movies at once that are just like I didn't even watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and I feel like I don't really need to understand the multiverse plot of like Kang the Conqueror and everything. So I watched Ant-Man. I thought that was good. Loki, I'll start getting into in Secret Invasion and stuff. But I think that the biggest problem with that I have with Marvel, I think that most people do, is that the MCU and shows are too fucking connected with each other. That is the problem here with Marvel. That everything has to be connected. You have to watch this show to watch that show. You got to watch five different shows to watch the Ahsoka show. Like some of it, yeah, you can go on YouTube and watch summaries. That's fine, which I have no problem with. But the problem here um with Marvel is I gotta watch this show. I gotta watch this show. The Netflix shows that came over to Disney and stuff that are now there. Daredevil and all of them are supposedly making a comeback. I gotta watch this show. I gotta watch that show. I didn't even watch She-Hulk or Miss Marvel. I just kind of skipped through most of it because it was a joke. Loki was probably the best one and stuff. I basically watched the summary of those shows, and I completely understood where people were not happy with it. The one thing that DC did right with the partnership of a network that really sometimes sucks because they go off the rails and go, as the number one reason I said on one of my videos why these CW shows fail after a certain amount of years is because of a stupid political agenda. But I digress. The point is that the Arrowverse was one thing that DC did right. Marvel failed where DC strived and succeeded and flourished and stuff, where they strived and became this all dynamic thing. Marvel failed. DC succeeded because in retrospect, DC's animated shows 90% of them or 90% of the time are better than the Marvel shows. I mean, some of the Spider-Man shows are not bad, like Spectacular Spider-Man and stuff. But again, the shows like Arrowverse and stuff had no. I'm sorry, the shows like Arrow and Flash. I said Arrowverse, but I mean the tenure of the Supergirl, which honestly I don't think Supergirl was bad. Flash, Legends of Tomorrow was pretty good, and you know, Green Arrow starting with it and everything else, or Arrow, whatever. Superman and Lois' last one, it's okay. I mean, one of the shows being the biggest disconnect is definitely definitely some continuity error with the directors and stuff, but it is what it is. The point is that the Arrowverse is on its final legs. Okay, this is probably the last show that you will get of the Arrowverse that has some connection to Cora, Barry, Oliver, Sarah Lance, and the rest of the whole entire cast in Crisis and stuff. There is some connection there because of Clark Kent. But other than that, you're just not going to get that because it's on a different Earth, and people are like, where's Cora? Where she's more famous than Lois, blah, blah, blah. The point is that my take is that Marvel failed where DC succeeded. DC succeeded by not constantly having the shows merge and mesh together and be all of this tight, compacted construct like this, where there was like no room basically to grow or anything, where it was just all connected like this, where it was trying to hold together as much as possible, and was like, come on, hold together. We need all these shows to be connected to the movie universe. There is only one time where it's loosely, where DC's like, all right, we can go in, be a little loose, let's give us, even though a lot of people hate him, let's throw Ezra Miller into the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, and let's have it an episode of the Arrow crossover event, and let's have a doppelganger concept. Fine. So it was loose like this, and they were able to pull back away and still be their own standalone things. The movie universe and the DC universe could come in together, be loose together, have an idea together, and then come away again and go their separate paths and take some parallel lines once again of taking some parallel lines and never crossing paths ever again, or crossing a little bit like so lightly and then splitting apart once again. However, Marvel in the case, they gotta be big compacted together, crossing over like this, crossing over like that. No, we can't split. We gotta keep merging together. That's the problem that I have with Marvel, is that the concept here is that this is basically, I'm using this as an example, this is my money, baby. I'm Marvel, and I don't give a fuck because I'm so freaking rich with all this money in my wallet of a multi-billion-dollar company that I do not care to keep the shows and the movie universe separate from each other. Now, I get where people are going to be like, but wait, Dragon King 551, how can you make these shows separate from the movie universe if these characters already exist in both places? Simple. Thanks to the multiverse of Loki and stuff, they are variants of themselves. They are doppelgangers, if you want to call it that. They are not the same person. Scarlet Witch is still a good person, this and that. And you see what I mean? Like, they could just keep doing that and just have, like, WandaVision be a thing, but it wasn't our Wanda or something along the lines of that, where it's just so frustrating as a Marvel fan, because I love Marvel. I've always loved Marvel, but it just doesn't feel the same anymore. Like, without Tony or Stan Lee or Toby or Hugh Jackman, those were like the big four guys. The Marvel started with those four guys. Without them, there is no Marvel universe. There cannot be a Marvel universe without Tobey Maguire starting Spider-Man, Stan Lee, one of the creators of the whole entire company and comic organization, Hugh Jackman, who starred the X-Men movies and Wolverine movies, and Robert Downey Jr., who started the MCU as a whole, creating the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we know and somewhat still love till this day. Without those four, you don't get what goes on with them. But the same thing can be said is that I don't like the route that Marvel is going with every show having to be connected to one another. Now, here's the thing. Take Cobra Kai as an example. Let's use Cobra Kai for example. Cobra Kai is connected to the movie universe. You know why? Because it had to be. It had to be that because the show had to revolve around the former villains that were in the original Karate Kid movies. That's how it works perfectly. Creating the show, having it be connected because it's in the same full big universe, big circle pie chart, right? That's how it works. That's how it connects to one another. However, a show like Downton Abbey, great show. The movies and them all exist in the same thing. However, the thing is that the show has so much more information that it's hard to make a movie doing that and stuff. And that's the same thing here. But I think you could technically still make great movies and shows without having them to be connected to another project that was worked on with like that thing. Like you could have the Hunger Games and you could have two different things. You could have the Hunger Games where the movies are the movies and of the current events, and then a show about the prequels and stuff where it doesn't have to be where it's like, okay, now we take a time jump to this, and it's like, no, we don't need to do that. We can just keep the show and movie universes separate from each other and do something along the lines of that. And that's what irritates me as a fan of some franchises where they have to constantly relate everything to everything. The thing is that if you take Legacies into account, it would probably be a good show if it stood on its own and didn't have a connection to the originals and stuff. But since it does, it's bad. The same way Marvel, where these shows have to be connected for you to watch and stuff. If you watch Legacies, you're not going to understand what the characters are because you're going to have a disconnect and stuff. It's the same way with Marvel. If you watch the originals, you're going to be like, wait a minute. Or if you watch Vampire Diaries all the way through from season 1 to 8, and then you watch the originals, you're going to be like, wait a minute. Didn't that guy die? Didn't that guy die? Didn't that guy die? But that's in lies the problem because they have to connect them and they have these crossovers. That's what I don't like. You got to watch this season for that, and you got to watch this. Watch season 7 of the Vampire Diaries to watch season 3 of the originals because they cross over. Watch I forget what it is, season 1 of the originals and season 5 of Vampire Diaries because they cross over and blur together. That's the problem with these shows and stuff. And that's why I hate Marvel. Marvel has failed where DC has succeeded. DC has success. Marvel does not in that sense because the shows are disconnected from the movie universe. They do not have to be connected to one another to be a great thing. For 10 long years, that is how long I think Marvel ran in 2018 was 10 long years. And I believe that means that it was, oh God, like 6 long years since the Arrowverse started. But the point is that the 10 long year and then 2019, 11, 2020, 12, 2021, 13, 2022, 14, and now 15 years since the first movie aired and everything. And it's been 10 years now since, well, actually it's 11 years. Sorry. I said 10 years really because it ended, Arrowverse ended. It started in 2012 and it ended in 2023. That's really 11 years, give or take. But Excuse me, pardon me. Um, but yeah, I mean, concept's still there, and I mean, it's just frustrating as a fan of superheroes that you have to constantly be like, oh, I gotta watch this show, I gotta watch that show, I gotta watch this to understand that show. It's annoying. Honestly, those are my thoughts. I have nothing more to say. I think that most people do agree with me, but that's all I got. So until next time, guys, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one.